Hey guys, this is Hero, and I'm back at it again with another video. Finally, I'm able to record outside as the rain has stopped, and it's during the daytime on the weekend, so was able to record this one for you guys outside as I like. Thought of this video topic and also decided to quickly jot it down and share some information with you guys. So the video today is stop believing things that you want to believe. So very quickly before I dive into this deeper, you may notice that there's 6 points I wrote down. These three all start with the word we, and these three all start with the word you. So these three are kind of things that we do, and these things are things that we can do to improve or stop this bad habit. I'll go over these points now. So these first three, the first one is we tell ourselves stories of how we would like things to play out. We all do this. We do this on either a conscious or a subconscious level. The things generally that are most important to us, we recognize consciously, no matter how much our awareness is. But the more aware we are, the more we can recognize the stories that are playing out in our mind at a subconscious level as well. These stories are basically everything in our life. So that includes the most important things like our jobs, like our relationships with friends and family, or with our spouse or something like that. Or it could just be, stories on minute day-to-day tasks like our trips to the grocery store or how a certain event or function is gonna go, or basically anything. Everything in our life where we have a story of how it's playing out at an ego level in our head. Second thing is that we often get attached to these stories. And the third thing is that we do things to hold on to this story. So I'll give you an example of this really quickly. So let's just say we have a story of how, let's just say a certain person that you're interested in, like a guy or a girl. You have a certain story of how you want it to play out in your head, like that your ego kind of throws at you. You get attached to that story and you do things to make that story happen, right? That's kind of a very typical example of this. Now, I'm gonna move on to these three real fast before I dive deeper into this. So I'm gonna start at this point first. You can't control the stories your ego tries to throw at you. So your ego is always going to try to throw the idea that the grass is greener on the other side, or that if you have this, you will be happy, which, as you guys probably know by now, happiness is always internal. It's never external, dependent on anything that happens on the outside. Okay, happiness, the state of mind, can always be developed internally. So we can't control, at least in the short term, we can't control the stories our ego throws at us. Now, in the long term, we can. How can we do that? With constant meditation and gaining awareness. Slowly our ego will die down. But in the short term, whatever it throws at us, we want to accept. We can't control it, and we don't want to try to control it. Also, related to these 2 points, you can control, however, your actions and attachments. So we can easily detach from these stories, and we can easily control our actions that we do relating to holding on to this story. And you are constantly being tested. I'm gonna tie into this throughout my next explanation. But how can we detach, or how can we control our attachments, and how can we control our actions? So in that example I just gave, a story you have with, let's just say, someone else, we can detach from that story. So we can basically, a clue of how to detach is however we want things to happen, we want to basically accept the complete exact opposite of that happening. Okay, basically the complete disaster of that situation, we want to accept. And that's basically lowering kind of the fuel our ego has on us related to that story. So if we kind of accept the fact that, hey, this might not happen, or if this happens, it's going to end in complete disaster, that's okay. And when we do that, the story we have playing in our head about how, we need this to be this kind of way with this person to be happy, as soon as we, detach from that story and accept the complete opposite of that, our state of happiness, our state of mind related to happiness is less dependent on that story. So it's important we do this. And controlling your actions, as we're more grounded, we're able to, as we're more detached, we're more grounded, and we're able to better act in ways that don't perpetuate the story over and over. Now, even if you don't do this, even if you don't detach, which I'd strongly recommend you do, but even if you don't do this, we can still do this. So we can still not do actions that perpetuate that story. So let's just say, I'll give you another example of something else. So let's just say we have the story of, I need to eat fast food, a certain food, every week to be happy. So the first thing we can do, obviously, is detach from that food, okay? Understand that we don't need the specific food in our life to be happy. So we can accept the fact of not having that food. Second thing we can do is control our actions. So what does that mean? If you're addicted to, let's just say, Taco Bell, and we detach from that, we're not gonna wanna purposely, drive down roads that, we know have Taco Bell on them. Or if we pass by a Taco Bell, we're not gonna want to, slow down extra slow and, kind of analyze and do a double take as if we want a Taco Bell, we want something at Taco Bell or not. That's what I mean by actions. This is just a very superficial example, but that's what I mean by controlling your actions and learning and controlling your attachments, which is AKA detaching from this story. Now, you are constantly being tested. So our ego has a very specific way of how it wants things to turn out, and it's almost never going to turn out that way. Never 100% it's going to turn out exactly like that forever. Okay, it's just not possible. So we're constantly being tested, meaning that we're constantly having things thrown at us that kind of shine awareness on the fact that, hey, you know what, our story's never going to play out exactly the way that we want it to. And it's up to us whether we choose to detach and control our actions, or whether we choose to continually attach to those stories, or do things to kind of hold on more and more. So that's the gist of this. So stop believing things that we want to believe, AKA the stories that are perpetuating over and over our head. Keep those in check. Don't just assume that or do things to make those stories that are very rooted at an ego level play out. If you don't do this, let's just say you keep doing these things, you keep you don't really keep yourself in check of the stories that you're letting your ego tell yourself. You don't keep your attachments in check. You don't you keep doing things to hold on to that story. You'll notice that your mental health will decrease and that your anxiety will probably go up, because you're constantly worried about how to hold on to that story. Your depression will probably get worse, because when the story doesn't happen, you're probably going to get in a very depressed state. While as if you do some of these things, detaching from the story or controlling your actions, you'll notice your anxiety will get better, because your happiness is coming more internal. It's not dependent on any external story playing out. And your depression probably could get better, because like I said, you won't be so down every time one of your stories doesn't pan out the way you want it to. So that's that. Another thing related to this is that stop believing things you want to believe. So we've kind of been tricked that, so I gave the two examples of, the food example, for example, that you have to have that, or the situation with, a person. But we do this on a day-to-day basis. We do this on, conversations we have with people on a day-to-day basis. We expect, even if it's not something serious, but we expect, certain conversations to play out a certain way, or, we expect certain events to play out a certain way, or even certain little parts of that event. Let's just say you go to, a wedding, and there's the pre-wedding events, there's the actual wedding, and there's the post-wedding events, and we have stories related to all parts of those events. And the less detached we are, the less our anxiety is going to be, because if we have stories, let's just say, related to just one part of that wedding, and all the other parts go good, but that one part didn't go kind of the way we planned on it in our head, internally it's going to be complete disaster, even though externally things probably could have went way above average. Like I said, happiness, that state of mind, it starts internally. So if one part didn't go the way we wanted to, most likely at a mental health level, it's still going to affect us very negatively. Okay, so stop believing the things we want to believe. Just a quick overview: keep our stories in check, keep our attachments in check, and keep our actions in check. Those are basically the big three, and if you do this, your mental health should improve significantly. Thank you guys, and until next time, talk to you guys later. Thank you.